हो गया ना, यही तो हो गया अब तक।
हेलो।
We'll start in 5 minutes.
University is pleased to
हेलो।
Yes, sir. Sir, we'll start in 5 minutes.
ओके।
Good afternoon to all of you. And it's a great opportunity for me to welcome all the delegates, and particularly today's our speaker, Dr. Arvind Saklani, Vice President, Sabinsa Group of Bangalore, India. And we are really excited to know some of his very good suggestions so that we can take up this, our endeavor, in a very useful manner to the ministry. And this is a web series we would like to start from today. This time we are planning to have 4 such lectures of our such eminent speakers, and based on their deliberations, we will try to develop some good material to make it a white paper, we can say, which will be shared with the policy makers, to the ministry people, and to all the stakeholders, that what we are, what the way we should try to go forward, the directions where we should take this lead of the take the lead, you know, so that the government can get input for their honest attempt that they are putting for, particularly for the last almost 9 years, to develop this Ayush sector, particularly the medicinal plant sector, for its development, for its total growth, and the potential that we do have in our country to justify the complete potential of our country. What should be the leading path? And that is why we, all of us, have assembled over here to know, particularly to listen from Mr. Saklani. And before I request him to start his deliberations, let me take this opportunity to say something about Dr. Arvind Saklani. Some few lines about Dr. Saklani. A biodiversity and ethnomedicine specialist involved actively in bioresources development, conservation of high-value medicinal trees, cultivation of medicinal plants, identifying promising medicinal plants for nutraceutical development, led a team of researchers dedicated to the identification of leads from strategically selected plants, traditional ethnomedical knowledge, and preclinical development of novel therapeutic leads. Overall, 35 years research and academic experience that Dr. Arvind Saklani possesses. So it's really a great opportunity for me, and I think today's lecture will give us a very good input, which will be ultimately helpful in the development of our medicinal plant sector. With these few some introductory words, I would rather request Dr. Saklani to please go ahead with your experiences, and based on that, what should be our future role in developing this plant sector. Thank you. Over to Dr. Arvind Saklani, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. Am I audible there?
Yeah, very much.
Thank you very much for inviting me for this lecture series. I'm really happy I had been part of this lecture series past, I think few years, you can say. Last year also we interacted and we had a very good discussion on this platform. It's a very good thing that we interact, we try to assess and evaluate the situation. This is such a happening sector, especially medicinal plant sector, which is talked around and everywhere now. All are realizing that this sector is a growing sector day by day. It's really picking up. Everybody is talking about natural products. Everybody is talking about medicinal plants. So in this situation, I think it is our responsibility, especially like national medicinal plant boards, state medicinal plant boards, then maybe your RCFCs, and whoever is related to sustainability of the biological resources. In general, medicinal plants I'm talking about. So here what we are talking, we are actually all our discussions, if you see, it all revolves around the quality bioresources for stakeholders. That is the key point. Whatever we are doing today, whatever we are going to discuss today, or the policies that we are making, ultimately these biological resources, especially the medicinal plants, they should have that kind of desired quality and trait, okay, for the sector. The end user could be Ayush sector. It could be like all our Ayush industries. It's a big setup now. And moreover, like if you see after the real interest by our Honorable Prime Minister sector, traditional medicine, medicinal plant sector, natural products, and whatnot, towards all traditional things, he is really trying to pick it up. So after that, it has grown. After COVID situations, we all actually turn towards natural products. We all know that. So prospects are huge. Today, what we are going to discuss may be the challenges that we are facing. It's not the prospects, because prospects we all know. Worldwide, we know how actually it has been realized across the globe in different parts of the world, and how it has been taken forward, that we all know. But what are the challenges? So if I start from backward integration, right from the industry perspective, if I start from here, what we want in the industry, end of the day, whatever we are trying to create or trying to cultivate or grow or gather, from the forest areas, from all these sections. So ultimately it has to come to the factory gate for manufacturing, or to the end users for consumption, for different formulations, for different consumption, different uses and all these things. So every sector has its own criteria to select the biological resources, the medicinal plant materials. For example, in Ayush, as we discussed last time also, it all depends what exactly I want. If it is ashwagandha, I want ashwagandha, the best quality ashwagandha for my manufacturing, which is free from all kinds of adulterations, all kinds of contaminants, all kinds of pesticides, heavy metals, and aflatoxins, and so on. Okay, so we have a criteria for this. Basically, the identity of the raw drug should be correct. That is the key point there. And if some substitution is allowed, so we allow that and we go for that. In case of nutraceutical sector, we look actually at something which is having the desired trait that we want. Okay, so we have to, why I'm saying this, because we have to clarify this to the growers, to the gatherers, and to the people who are actually facilitating this whole supply chain. We have to tell them in advance, look, this industry is actually using resources for this purpose. And this is the criteria they would accept your raw materials. Okay, So for example, in our case, we are using like turmeric, and we are buying turmeric from many sources. Now, what are the key issues in this? The key challenges are, first thing is whether it has desired content of curcuminoids. And we look for different curcuminoids like curcumin, we look for dimethoxycurcumin, we look for bis-dimethoxycurcumin, BDMC, and that too in a particular ratio. Now, many turmeric varieties, if you see like in Odisha, they are full of turmerons and oils. We do not want that. Okay, because when we go for extraction, the recovery of total curcuminoid should be such that we get a better yield in a particular ratio. So if the oil content is high, we cannot recover that. We cannot have that kind of extractive with us. So this is like peculiar requirement of the industry, like nutra industry. Like in case of ashwagandha, we want phenolides there. Okay, and some companies, they look for different vidaferins or some other things. Then we have to take care of some chemical constituents like in Andrographis paniculata. We have to identify those locations, those geographies where we get the best quality of, say, Andrographis chiraita. So we have to pinpoint. And I'm telling you today, industry is well aware. Industry knows from where to get what. Like Eastern zone, if we focus on like West Bengal or maybe Odisha or maybe further like down Assam, plains of Assam, we look for Bacopa from there. But we look Bacopa free of pesticide like tricyclazole. We do not want that. So if the paddy is grown close to Bacopa, we are not interested because they are using some pesticide there. And by default, it gets absorbed in the Bacopa crop also. So we have to take care of these things. Now, if you see like livelihood or the better income for the farmers. So what we are saying today, even the Honorable Prime Minister also says, our even Secretary Ayush also says, this is the best like alternative income for the farmers. This is another area that we always talk about. But now, when we talk of selection of the species for a particular region, the first and foremost thing is the farmer should be aware of the returns from that particular crop. Because whenever you go to any farmer, you ask him that, no, you try to cultivate this particular species, he will ask you what I would get. We may say many things on the paper. We can say we will cultivate this and that. I have seen some people suggested ashwagandha for Mizoram. It's a futile exercise. Why we have to really suggest something which is not possible in that particular terrain and which is useless? Because you will not get the competitive price for that particular material. Now, the focus should be on a species which is best suited to that particular geography for particular region, okay, and which can fetch really a good price for the farmer. So whenever I go to the, whenever I get a call from the farmers, I ask them first question, what you are cultivating now in your existing field? What is the land available with you for, say, cultivation of medicinal plants? If you have 5 acres, can you really spare maybe 1 acre for medicinal plant cultivation? Is it possible for you? And what exactly you are cultivating on your field now? So that gives me a fair idea. If it is a paddy cultivator, he is getting hardly 10,000, 15,000 per acre per annum. So basically he is at loss. So when we suggest something, a good crop, which can really give him a better return, that is always good for him. So first thing is what is existing with him, existing crop, then what returns he is getting from that, and what we can really suggest based on the geography, based on the agroclimate, based on the edaphic factors, infrastructure that he has. Okay, all these parameters will play an important role. What is the accessibility? For example, if somebody has a land in the forest areas, there are no accessible roads. So transportation itself will be it's a challenging thing for him. How to get those yield, I mean, whatever produce he has, how to get it to the mandis or to these places. So that is another challenge for him. So accessibility, transportations, these things, the infrastructure that he has, irrigation facilities that he has. So we have to keep all these parameters in mind and then suggest him something. That is very important for us when we are talking of this. Even when we are talking about like collecting raw materials from wild, from forest areas. So we have to really, know what is available there, in what season, what we can gather. Okay, and what is the sustainable manner of collecting the resources. Now, for me, when we talk to like such platform, I think I would request you or your people, if we can have a sort of database of that particular region, whatever you're handling, you have a database, complete database, whatever resources we have in terms of medicinal plants. What are the medicinal plants available in my region? In what season? For example, January to December, I make a calendar. Okay. In that calendar, I say, I'm sitting in Calcutta. Okay. In Medinipur, in Purulia, Bankura, or these areas, these are the areas where we can have this kind of medicinal plants available. In what season, how much I would get from this particular area? What is the harvest season? How much quantity would be available in specific like district? So if you have a complete chart in front of you, then you can talk to the industry. You can talk to people outside. Look, from say Purulia, I'm going to get, now this is the month of March, I'm going to get this tonnage of this particular crop. It will be available. So industry has a fair idea that these are the resources available with you in this particular season. And this is the quantity available. Now, what is the problem basically whenever I talk to state medicinal plant boards or other people, they simply give me one list. Okay, list of say 40, 50 plants. These are the plants available with us and these are the quantity. It will not help at all. What would help me basically? What is available and in what season? This is the time, sir. These are things. So the chart is, for example, in your office itself, you have a complete chart in front of you. Now you can talk to your people. See, this time you have, last year you told that this much will be available from wild, this much will be available from the cultivation. Whether it is there, whether it is just on paper or it is really available. Can I talk to the industry? Okay, can I bring in the better player for this? Now, second thing is you talk to industry, okay, and industry will tell you, I want these resources from your area. And these are my raw material specifications. Now, this is important to understand basically when we are on the same page, when we know what is available in your area or into your all districts or villages in your jurisdiction, then we can have a dialogue. Then we come to the price part, which is very, very crucial, very critical and important for everybody. It is not just like industry or maybe the grower or the person who is facilitating or the government agencies, but we have to fix a price which is competitive. And we should not really run away from that. At the point, what happens basically, we have to understand the volatility in this sector, how it is fluctuating. Now, I'll give you one example, turmeric. Turmeric last year, it was just hardly maybe 70, 80 rupees per kg we were buying. Suddenly, this shot to 120, 130 rupees per kg. Why? The reason is, some people said there are a lot many climate changes going to happen in this, coming season. And the turmeric production is going to go down, 100% it will go down. Now, if it will go down, so many the holders, basically, they started holding the stock, realizing that or thinking that the demand will be high and there won't be any production. Okay, so there'll be a problem because of climate change and all these things. So they try to put everything in the stores, and all of a sudden this prices from 90 or 100 rupees, it went up to 120 rupees. But this was just a speculation, imagination. Nothing happened that sort of. It was perfect. So now again it's down. So the farmers are always in confusion what to do, because they are not sure, no? So we have to really educate them, train them, and we should have a proper data or proper information for the growers. Unless they have proper information, they'll be always in dilemma, whether to go forward or not to go forward. Okay, so whether if it is he is not sure, like somebody, I'm giving you an example in Karnataka, somebody started cultivating one very rare endangered shrub. I'm not naming that. He cultivated, now it is more than 4 years. This is the best time to harvest. He wanted to harvest. Nobody is coming forward to buy, at his price, whatever he is quoting, because market price is totally different. He says, I have invested this much. Okay, my farmers, they are not ready to sell. Now these farmers are also in problem. Like once I remember, I went to Manipur in Ukhrul district, and they had turmeric for almost like 2 years into the ground. They could not harvest because there was no buyer for that. The prices were down, and they got subsidy, they got all kinds of facilities from the government. They cultivated, but they were not able to sell it. So this is basically, the land is completely like full of turmeric. Okay, they're not able to do anything in that. So these things are very important for us, I think, when we are talking to stakeholders, the real stakeholders, what exactly is required by the industry and what time they want that, what are the competitions around. For example, in case of turmeric, then we had no alternative or no other things other than to switch, and we started importing. So when we, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, you are audible.
Yeah, okay. So basically what I'm saying is basically how to identify those species or those crops. One, that we can introduce a novel crop there. It can come through innovations. Like in our case, we started working on coleus, and now it is cultivated more than in 10,000 acres in South India. So that has come from innovation. What are the market trends? But market trends, again, like, if you see ashwagandha, during COVID time, it went up like anything. It went up to say 185, 190% up, but suddenly now it has come down. So the farmers always are like, in dilemma whether to go ahead or not to go ahead. So we have to be realistic there. And then competition, as I said, when we are introducing, sometimes we have to see other crops also in other parts of the world, how they are going ahead. If you see, like, that international also, which are the medicinal plants which are fetching high export value, like, how China is doing all these things. So we have to compete in that sector also. We should not be just sticking to our traditional crops. We have to go beyond that. We have to have at least 1 or 2 key person in the department who keep an eye on the international trend, okay, the total market international scenario of medicinal plants, and what is the strength of my place. For example, in Eastern India, what is available to us, what we can make available, which other countries are making available to the international market. We should have 1 or 2 person, key person, who just keep track of those trends, complete like trends of international sector. It's not just only a domestic market, because there we get more like maybe openings, and there actually the farmers can be maybe asked to grow more, and then we can orient towards say export. Like in the field, if you start promoting farmers, if you try to like train them how to process their materials, that is another challenge that we are facing. Like common things are adulteration, contaminants, and all these things. How to get rid of all these things? So that is very important for us, how to train them, how to go for like, small scale primary processing units. I'm not saying go for extraction or go for like, preparing oleoreagents and all that, because that will remain with you and then it will be a problem for everybody to sell it off. But if it is a clean material with the desired trait and it is like sorted out, free from all kinds of adulteration, and then you have all kinds of grading, sort of grade 1, grade 2 for all the medicinal plants. I'm not saying just one. For example, I want Andrographis leaf. So can we supply only leaf of Andrographis paniculata or Gymnema sylvestre? Okay, or maybe Bacopa. Bacopa, if you go, Bacopa means it's completely full herb they will put there. So how to really how to create that kind of infrastructure so that we have a graded kind of medicinal plant bioresources available with us at a competitive price. So these are the few things like, and when we are saying all kinds of, supply chain, all the how to reduce pressure on the wild, that is, I think, our primary objective. We are all talking about going for sustainability of bioresources, not for the protection, not for the, like, and it should be like conservation and sustainability of bioresources. Many times what happens, initially people had projects wherein they were simply like, maybe putting some boundary on some forest areas and they are saying this is our medicinal plant garden. It will not serve the purpose. It's a futile exercise, I'm telling you. Unless the resource is utilized or unless it is evaluated. See, I delivered one lecture long back, lead from plants lead to conservation. What does it mean? It means unless you evaluate the species, you will not come to know the potential of the species. Today, if we are eating rice or wheat, somebody would have evaluated it. Okay. And then somebody would have really gone for large scale cultivation. And commercial cultivation is the best, like most powerful tool of conservation. So we have to really evaluate all the resources available to us in our region and then come out with this kind of like, maybe potential crops or how to reduce the pressure on the wild. Then we go for these things. Now, another thing is in Ayush or maybe other sector also, when we talk to the cultivators especially, we do not give them just one crop because it's a problem for them. We always ask for the mixed cropping. We always ask for like, maybe go for the shrubs, trees, or maybe for short-term gain, for mid-term gain, for long-term gain. So we have to tell them which are the crops best suited for their system and how they can really achieve those targets, how they can get gains because they want immediate money. They will not really wait for us for a long time. Okay, they need, and per capita land, if you see, they do not have much. So they want immediate money. So that kind of mechanism, how to develop that, that is very important for us. So then certification part is another part where we are facing issues or challenges. Like organic certification, we all are talking about. But when we go for organic products, we have to remember one more thing. See, especially in terms of medicinal plants and when it comes to the quality of the medicinal plants or the content of the desired chemicals in that particular species, it all depends on the stress conditions given to the medicinal plant. The secondary metabolite, like, how it comes basically, it is basically a defense mechanism for the species. Okay, it is not just like put more like organic manure and all these things. People gave me some sample from Mizoram, big like turmeric samples and the ginger samples, and they said, sir, this is the best one. But when I evaluated, it was hardly like, any use for me because it did not have that kind of content. I did whatever I wanted because more organic things you put, you are not putting much stress on that. So organic certification, when we go, so we have to strike a balance, how to really do all these things. It is very tricky thing. Okay. So basically we have to study and a lot of studies are required in that case. Whatever species we are growing organically, I think a full-fledged maybe research wing should be there to evaluate all the organic products, whether they are really, useful at a later date. See, for fancy region, you go to the store mall today, you can get many organic products there. But we know the situation, okay, whether they are really, really useful for us or whether whatever price we are paying for that, that is really, appropriate for that. So that there's a lot of innovation and research is required when we are going for organic certification or organic things there. Now, one more thing is there when we ask for the contract cultivation of species. Okay, we always say contract farming. We are also doing in South India, even in other parts of the world, Southeast Asia, we are doing in Indonesia, Vietnam. We have our own contract farming systems there. Now, the problem is we have to have a trust. That is a key issue in case of contract farming. I went to some areas in Northeast long back in 2016, 17, and they said, sir, we are not going to do because the parties who came here, they asked us to go for this, even they signed MOU and all that, but nothing happened. We grew and it is simply lying there because they ran away. That is one part of the story. Another part of the story is when actually we have burnt our fingers there, we lost close to 30-35 crores in South India. I tell you how. Basically, these farmers, whoever was cultivating, we had like agreed price. Some contract system was there. Okay. All of a sudden, in the market, the price was high. For example, we agreed for 60 rupees per kg. Market rate went up to say 80 rupees. They said, sir, 50% of the crop is gone. Sir, because of the natural calamities, pests and so many things. And they sold it 50% outside. So we got only 50% of the crop. Okay. So next year, what happened? The market price went down. And they then came running. Sir, can you buy our product? So this is the thing that we have to have a trust. And that comes through a long association. We have to have that kind of system in place. So, and here actually the government machinery or the facilitators like, RCFC or State Medicinal Plant Board, these people, they play an important role, a very real key role there. How to fulfill the requirement of the growers, okay, all the stakeholders. See, because farmers, they have their own expectations. They have their expectations like they should know the agro technique. They should know how to get the best planting material, where to get it, what is the best season. They want the training, complete training. They want to equip themselves for the cultivation of the desired medicinal plant. Then they want exactly like, where is the market for my product? Who will take it forward? Because they are sitting somewhere in remote places. Who will facilitate? So those things are very important. Those farmers, they have their expectations. For example, they have produced something. Now, where is the warehouse for me? Who will coordinate the whole activity? Because see, in the government also, if you see, many times I have been working with many forest departments in the country. Now, I'll tell you an example. We planted, I myself went to Madhya Pradesh and we planted more than 50,000 trees of Pterocarpus marsupium in the jungles with the help of forest department, the federation. Now, I want the report. Now, in these 3-4 years, 5 MDs have been changed. Now, how to get whom to catch now? I cannot even talk to anybody there because nobody is there. Every day they are changing. So the point is, unless there is a system in place, how to get those information. If there is a kind of complete what you call digital system in place, so that gives a real comfort for every stakeholders. So we know everything is online. We have e-Charak now in place. Similarly, like if we have system, which is the versatile. I mean, it's not like just system is there in place, but somebody should be there who should be updating the data every day. Like how the stock market does. So stock market, we have to go with that kind of competition. That is the key now today. We have to work like a corporate system. If we work on the paper lazily, so nothing is going to really happen. So unless we run with that kind of pace, okay, this is very tough, because ultimately we have to help the farmers. We have to help the, gatherers, those who are in this activity. So those things are very, very important to me. I think, then some issues are there. For example, regulatory issues, how to handle those regulatory issues. I'll give you one example, ashwagandha. Ashwagandha, in between, there was a challenge that somebody said, no, this aerial parts of ashwagandha has some toxic issues, or the leaves of, this has some issues. Now, then we got an advisory from Ministry of Ayush. That's okay, because they said it is not mentioned in our traditional literature and all that. But as a scientist, to me, what is important, even I discussed at the highest authority there, I said, sir, today, if we stick to just, this 54 authoritative books and formularies, we are actually not going beyond that. We have to go for innovations. If root is prescribed or mentioned there, why can't we evaluate other parts of the species? And we have to come out with a solution. If we say it is toxic, how to detoxify it? See, one of my friends is working on this detoxification method in Ayush, and he's trying to really come out with the chemistry behind each and every step. In Ayush system, for example, we are using cow urine or some maybe cow dung and other cow milk and all for purification, shodhana. So how to really, validate those things through a hardcore natural product chemistry is doing on that. So when we can go for this kind of validation, why can't we really go for evaluation of other parts of the species? And why can't we add something more to the traditional knowledge, whatever we have in our scheduled textbooks? We have to go beyond that. So a lot of innovation is required. Now, in this case of ashwagandha, if you see, what is the loss? The loss is the farmers who were getting 30, 35 rupees a kg from the aerial parts, and they were selling it to the industries. They were getting additional income from that. Now it is completely gone because people are not there to buy. Okay, so this also we have to see. This is another angle that we have to look into. This is very important for us. How to really evaluate other parts. We should not just kill the thing. It's very easy to say this is toxic, but it is very, very, maybe cumbersome task to say, no, we can make it really useful, okay, through this process. And we can really put a big mega project for this. Why not? This is important for us. I think today, innovations we are talking of, everybody is talking of innovation, and people are competing. They want to, I'm telling you, there is another factor today. If you see outside world, how these industries in Europe, in US, how they are trying to really overpower us. They are trying to kill our resources, I'm telling you. Like Boswellia. There was a story, in between, they said, no, Boswellia should be put in CITES list, Appendix 2. I fought for this for 2 years through American Herbal Product Association. And finally, we came out with the stewardship, complete brochure for 2 pages brochure for the sustainable harvesting of the species. And we categorically, I worked with the forest department. I told them, please provide me data, whether, it is really endangered rare species or it's a common species. Many of my friends who are professors there, retired professors in Madhya Pradesh, they said, it is very common in Satna, many other districts. It is not at all rare. Who says that? Then we collected the data. We did a lot of work for that to save it, from entering into CITES list. Now, once it is entered in CITES list, we all know how tough it is to really take it, back or bring it back to the commerce. It is not possible. Now, another factor, for example, like the Picrorhiza curva, another Himalayan species that is already entered in CITES. Now, to create market for the CITES species also is a challenge. And they are very promising species. So those CITES species, how they can be brought into cultivation after evaluation or after finding the best, market in the world. There are takers. They want that. But we simply say this is cited species we do not want to touch. That is the worst part, I'm telling you. We should, that is the opportunity for us. So we should really, work on those species which are rare, which are endangered, which are endemic species, which are distributed to in our location. So those things are now some few things I think we have to really take care. So that should be our objective. But what I'm saying is today, what is required by the farmers, we have to really understand that. We have to understand the real requirement of the industry, or different industry. I'm saying Ayush industry, they have different requirement. Nutra industry, they have different requirements. The volume also changes. If you see today the export of Ayush or this medicinal plant-based products, I'm not saying under chapter 910 or maybe other one. I'm talking about say extract or maybe other things. It is more than $1.7 billion of the Nutra sector. But if you see Ayush, there is hardly any export. There is hardly any. If you see the data, there is none. There is not much. So we have to work with the volume when we are talking about the commercial cultivation of any species. Because ultimately the critical volume will play an important role. Ultimately, the potent species will play an important role. Like in Sikkim, we have Paris polyphylla. So Paris polyphylla, we do not know for what it is being used, how it is being smuggled from there to Myanmar. There they buy for 5,000 rupees, and in the border area, they smuggle it for 35,000 rupees per kg. It is our resource, but we do not know the potential of the species. So those important, I think species we have to really evaluate and maybe use for our maybe commercial things, commercial gains rather. Then there are many other things I think we all know about good agricultural practices, forest collection practices, and all these things. I think these are common things, but few things which are important for us, we have to capture those points, especially in medicinal plant sector. We must know the availability of the resource, what is available in our whole region, and this information should flow down. It should be available to the stakeholders. Otherwise, they will switch to other places. No? They will come to us. If I have a complete picture in front of me, it's available online, they can directly talk to the person. Sir, I saw in our database today morning, I saw this is available in such and such. Can you help me in getting that? I'm interested. And there should be a system immediately. Those who are using that particular resource, this information should go to them. That is also important because I may be having 100 things in my basket, but if it doesn't really, I do not reveal that outside, it's a waste, isn't it? So the stakeholders, those users, they must know what is available in my basket and at what price I can really get it. And now the thing is, overnight we change the vendors. It's so fast system, no? Tomorrow, if I want 10 tons of Bacopa, I want 10 tons because my machine is there. I can handle 45 tons a day raw material. We have 9 manufacturing facilities here in the Bangalore or maybe, Hyderabad, in those areas. So our capacity is huge. So overnight, if I have to take decision, I must have this kind of information base available to me. That is the critical thing today, the information system. I think these are the few points I wanted to share with you today. And maybe we can discuss further if you allow so.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arvind Saklani, for your very nice presentations, which is completely based on the data which you have get it through your, this long involvement in the sector. And it's really, I do not have any words to express my, gratitude to you, because it's an exercise that we try to undertake. That is what we desire to undertake for the benefit of the medicinal plant sectors. We would like to really make one white paper based on these, the people like you, your experience, and based on that, how we can go forward, the suggestions that you have provided. out of your all this experience.
Sure.
And really, I am very much happy. I just do not find any at one moment also to give to really take my concentration out of your discussion.
Yeah, sure.
So nice.
Thank you
Very much.
very much. Actually, sir, point is, I worked with the government for 15 years and past 23 years now with the industry. So 38 years actually experience. So I know in the government system, also in the private system, in the industry as well. So I think this is such a beautiful sector. We can really do wonders in this.
Yeah, yeah. And our government is so interested to develop
Yes.
this.
Yes.
We have, so many people are there who really. So let us try to make a, concerted effort so that we can do something for this sector, and really we are also getting benefited by
Sure.
the development of that sector.
Sure.
And I think now I am finding Dr. Chinmoy Roth from National Medicinal Plan Board. Dr. Roth, would you like to ask something to Dr. Saklani? Because ultimately we will be making a white paper based on all the experts, their deliberations and their way of showing us the path that we'd like to share with the ministry. That's not a problem. But do you have any specific questions that you'd like to ask to Dr. Arvind Saklani? Dr. Roth, please. Dr. Chinmoy Roth. I think for the moment, let me go to some other persons. If you'd like to, I am finding a lot of people in there. May I, before I go to Dr. Shantanu Chakraborty, before Mr. Shantanu Chakraborty take up the thing, I also have certain questions to you, which might be interesting, for me at least. I would like to know specifically, sir, do you prefer Mandi? Just you are an industry for the moment. You don't consider only your company, just out of your experience, you are representing an industry. That I'd like to know from you. Do industry prefers Mandi or contract farming at this point of time?
I think this is the point I wanted to discuss. This is very, very important, and everybody is talking about this here in Karnataka. Also, we have retired forest officers, head of the forest estate, and we have very good association with them. And this is the first thing. Actually, these 4 retired forest officers, they created one tree and one organization here, like a state biodiversity board. Our Dr. Reddy was there, then K.N. Murthy and other people here in Karnataka, they started that. This is the first thing I suggested. You must have a mandi in place. Unless we have a medicinal plant mandi, we cannot really move forward, because this is such a market is highly unpredictable and nobody knows what is happening around. Because I'm from Dehradun. Okay. In my childhood, I have seen when we would go to those alpine meadows, many, shepherds, they would collect so many like Picrorhiza or maybe this Dactylorhiza, and the Aconitum and all that. But we were wondering why they are collecting. Now I understand. It was simply they were exploiting the resources from wild. Nobody knows how they are taking, where they are taking. If we have mandis in place, the state mandis or maybe at a different label, and that depends on the infrastructure or maybe the capabilities of the state medicine plant board and all that, the money available to them. But we must have this. At least in the mandis, we can have the indigenous resources, whatever is grown in that particular vicinity or available in that vicinity. I think that's a very good idea to have medicinal plant mandis. That's really required today.
So that obviously one of the very important answer from your point. I know I would like to also know that, do you find that we should create some for medicinal plant sectors, any export promotion council needs to be developed by the ministry or by the organization, so that we can really promote the export point of view?
I think now it's a time. I think we have already discussed this, and we already have this Ayush Export Promotion Council. This is coming up, and hopefully this will really promote our products. It's not just raw material, because government is giving more emphasis on translational things. Okay, it's not just raw materials. We are talking about the formulations. We are talking about the value-added products. So when we talk about the value-added products, and because all the importers in different parts of the world, because we are 100% export unit, almost 100%, it's 95% plus. Okay, so we know what is required in different destinations. We have offices in 17 countries. So today, this is very important. We are going through Chef Excel, the Export Promotion Council, because it's extract. But I still feel that Ayush Export Promotion Council will have a bigger role to play in this country. Very, very important for us today. Because whatever we are manufacturing here, how to take it forward. But there, what will be most important is to follow all the regulatory norms, and how to come up to that level through standardization process. Standardization will be the key for this whole Ayush Export Promotion Council. Unless we have this in place at every step, because importers, they always look for this, quality, consistency in everything, right from raw material to end products. So if we have this kind of stringent regulated, norms in place, it will be difficult for even Export Promotion Council also to take it forward. Like I'm giving you one small example in between, during Corona, after Corona time, they were suddenly, all of a sudden, European market, they started putting one more condition to us. All your material, all your extracts or everything, it should be ETO free, ethylene, oxide free. And that was a big hassle for everybody. How to get rid of it? Because how it is coming in the system, in the extract or in the produce, we did not know, because we are not using it. But then we came to know even the trucks or the containers that we were using, they were actually using this ETO for some other regions. And that was really coming of it. There are many things. So regulation, how to take care of those, finer things, that will be a key issue, and standardization will be the key issue when we talk about the exports.
Yeah. Since our Prime Minister is promoting the farmers' livelihood, and we'd like to make it many a times how possible.
Another thing is, I think I'll just add to it, because I was working very closely with the Department of Revenue, Department of Finance, for assigning a harmonized system code for medicinal plants, okay, for our extract. So when I had a meeting with the Department of Revenue in Delhi, so we suggested that time, if it is not possible for you to assign a separate HS code for the product, because they had a condition, they said, at least the export should be not less than 100 crores. That should be the volume. Okay, so for turmeric, for example, we have it. For black pepper, bioperine was a product, we have it. Okay, for many other products, we have it more than 100 crores. So based on that, I myself prepared actually a list of 18 products, 18 dossier rather. And through Chef Excel, we submitted it to the government. And based on that, we had a discussion. And they said we have a 8-digit like this HS code system, which is exported under 1302. So that is like, I'm talking about the export, because when you export something, you must have a assigned HS code. Some system should be there so that it is recognized across the world. Like we have botanical names in Latin for all the species, and it is recognized by that particular Latin name. Similarly, the HS code are required for the exports. So for that region, because there are so many species in the country, and many are exporting maybe raw herbs also. So that time, what I suggested, we must have a combo box kind of thing. We can list out all the species, and that was very well taken. We were talking about the extract, but it was taken, the concept was taken by that time, Varun Kandunia was there, he was Joint Commissioner. So fortunately, he is batchmate of my student. My student, one of my students is also IRS. He is also in the same, so they were batchmates. So he was convinced. He said, this is a good idea. We can have a combo box, drop box basically. So drop box they created, all the species are there, all the parts are there, and they have assigned separate numbers for that, specific number. So based on that, it can go really for the export. So this is the system we have to create, no, when we are creating such systems.
You're right, sir. And may I request Dr. Shantanu Chakraborty, Shantanu Chakraborty, please.
Sir, is this combo box is already working?
I think for Aish product, it will start working, because I was in talking to Arvind Chauhan. He said we are seeing the feasibility. They are still like studying that. It is not started completely, but they are trying to see the feasibility, whether it will really work at a later date. So this is initially this is just experimental kind of thing, but it will happen. It will happen.
That will be very good. Nice to have one.
Yes.
Because it really
Yeah.
helps. understand
Correct.
the-
Correct.
Yeah, Dr. Shantanu Chakraborty, please.
Thank you, Professor Mojumdar, for allowing me to take part in this discussion. It's a great opportunity to interact with Dr. Arvind Saklani and learn things from him. I'm really grateful for that. I have just 2-3 curiosities which I want to share with Dr. Saklani. And first one is, Dr. Saklani has emphasized upon the quality parameter requirements for the industry, and they prefer a very narrow specifications. But sometimes what we see that for the same species, farmed material and collected material competes against each other. Of course, collected material may come at a lesser price, but what we believe that maintenance of the quality parameters are easier in farm materials. So is there any practicality in coming up with a purchase regimen which inherently prefers a farm material, so that we can ensure about the quality parameters from the purchase point itself? And my second question is, that is from the farmer's perspective. Often the farmers, the FPO managers, and the agencies who are devoted into promotion of a medicinal plant like RCFC, often we do not have any clue about the potential demand of any particular medicinal plant. So we do not have any idea about what to promote, how much to promote, what acreage to achieve for a particular medicinal plant. Will it be possible for the industry to come up with an annual estimate of any specific medicinal plants, so that we can achieve particular acreage, sufficient acreage for that, and there is no possibility of underproduction and overproduction of any particular medicinal plants? Dr. Saklani, please.
Very good, Dr. Shantanu-ji. It's a very good two things you asked. First thing is cultivated versus wild species. Okay, and the price things, and basically when we are going for cultivation, it's a controlled chemistry we are talking about. So we know in my planting material, whatever I have put into the ground, so what exactly it would contain. Okay, that is very important, and that's really good for everybody to understand. But sometimes in some cases, it is basically in the wild that gives us better content. So there is a competition always. So some people, for example, in your area, if Gymnema is available in plenty, so people would prefer simply collect from the wild and give it to the industry. Okay, but if it is not available in that like quantity, or maybe you are bound to, or you are, for example, in case of citrus species or the rare and endangered species, you have to cultivate. Unless you cultivate, you cannot really export it. You cannot even use it. You have to have legal production certificate, legal procurement certificate, and that sort of. So you are bound to really, you have to collect, you have to cultivate only. So that is the criteria. But it is very tough actually, to figure it out and to control the prices. Because when it comes to the pricing, basically industry or whoever is there, even if I go to the market, unless I am well off, I'm telling you, I will not really go to a person who is selling exactly the village, maybe the produce, organic produce. I will simply go to the, say, for example, cauliflower. I want somebody says, no, this is organically grown. It's a very small, but it's a costly. Only those people will go there who can afford it. Those who want that kind of quality. Okay. So there are many players in this market. So what we have to understand, who is looking for exactly what quality. As you asked, Mr. Shantanu, that there is a very narrow range kind of thing. And sometimes what happens is a very specific requirement by the industry. So it's basically a dialogue that helps a lot. It's a dialogue, complete dialogue. You have to, maybe establish a good rapport with those concerned industries and really find it out what exactly they want. Now I'll tell you one thing. For example, in case of amla, everybody is looking for vitamin C, but we do not want that. We want that, but our marker is totally different. It's a beta glucogallin we look for. And we have that specific requirement. It should have at least this much. So there are many parameters for and specific for the particular industry. Nobody would really tell you unless you interact with them, unless you have a dialogue with them. Now, another point is when you have you are in, say, Eastern region, you must know what is available there and which are the industries using those resources. So if I know who are the users, then I can really have a dialogue with these people. And then we can really come out with some maybe solution. What to tell, how to tell these people, like farmers, what to grow and how much to grow, that can be decided only after a good, rapport with the industry or good, maybe what we call studies. As I said in the beginning, we must have one or two key players or key persons in the department or maybe in the system who keep track of all these resources. Who are the industries, who are the major players using what resources, and what is the international demand? So now we have many databases available. See, for example, we also buy some databases. This is a huge cost to us. But the second question, what you asked, actually, if you see the State Medicinal Plan Board, I mean, under your jurisdiction or maybe under jurisdiction of RCFC, all these industries, including us, we all are submitting data every year to National Medicinal Plan Board. What we are consuming, how much we have consumed this year for our manufacturing, for our, our processing products. So everything is documented there. National Medicinal Plan Board has the data. Only thing is they have to be a little maybe aggressive in collecting data from those who are not submitting data. That is very important. I think Dr. Chinmay was there. Chinmay Rott, I think I heard that name. He must be around from NMPV. And he knows that. Okay. How we all are submitting data every year. So data is available. How to make it maybe accessible to you, that I think you have to really find out.
Yeah, Dr. Saklani, and we also need to collect the data on behalf of RCFC, and we always have very tough time to get data from the industry, and there is serious compliance issues, specifically from small companies. Somehow they feel that it is classified information or something like that, so it's very difficult to get data out of that.
I'm telling you, see what happens, when you start asking even the vendor's name, nobody would reveal that because that is a business secret. I'm giving you an example. But if you ask how much ashwagandha you have used in this particular financial year, they would tell you. That's not a problem. But if you ask them from where you got it, okay, then that will be a problem. What price you got it, then there will be a problem because nobody would like to share their secrets because that becomes a trade secret. Another thing is what we have to understand that, okay, RCFC may be a trustworthy organization or State Medicinal Plan Board out there, but who knows how the information is leaked out? If the information is not shared with the competitor. So that is the fear always with the industry and with the players. So for example, I'm working on a particular species and some other competitors are also working on that species. So what is the guarantee that my vendor is not actually hijacked Okay. And the prices may then go up and down depending on the circumstances. So that fear is always there. I think we have to, how to take care of that. That is, the tricky question there. But I think you can always get the data, provided you do not ask the internal details. That can be asked later in the process, slowly, when you have built a trust with those people. But I think the volume can easily be gathered. That's not a problem.
Yeah, and the volume is the data we actually need. We do
Yes.
not need the data of their about the
Internal details.
vendors. And I have just two other issue to discuss with you. The third one is
Dr.
you talk-
Murthy, I'm interrupting you. Sorry very
Yeah,
much.
please.
Dr. Chakraborty, I'm very much sorry, just for a minute. I would like to know if we make a T schedule, actually we call it a T schedule.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
Okay. Now the thing is, there is, as you are telling, as you are assuring us, because you may understand better so for the psychology of the industry. That's why I'm telling you, as you are suggesting, at least the quantum and the species. These two data are not difficult to get.
Yes, yes.
If we modify our TA schedule for the time being, in the sense for our queries, we
Very
can,
true.
if we can make it. Do you think we will get a good response?
100%. I'm 100% sure nobody would really object for that.
Okay. By this also we can assume something, that what is the really at this moment, what is the quantum of quantum is of the demand of a particular species. That is also.
Yes. I think that will serve the purpose, Dr. Majumdar, because yes, we have major players. If they tell, if you ask them, they will immediately say, yes, we have this requirement, because tomorrow we also need really a good source of planting memory in this bioresource. And if you assure that RCFC East side, I mean, you can really supply, or through Mandi, you can create something depending on our information, and you have created that kind of maybe repository, or maybe the store, or the whatever is their warehouse. So it will be very happy. Everybody would be happy. So there is no problem like sharing this kind of information.
Thank you very much, Saklani sir. Mr. Chakraborty, kindly continue.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Majumdar, again. So there are two more points I just wanted to discuss with Dr. Saklani. The first one is, in this discussion, we have talked about competitive prices several times. And I would just like to know what should be the basis of figuring out what can be a practical competitive price. Should it be linked with the production cost or something else? Because we have been working with a lot of farmers lately, and often we watched that the price that they are selling sometimes doesn't cover the production cost always. And specifically, if the farmer include the cost of their own labor, so they are always making a loss. And in the entire supply chain itself, the maximum risk is taken by the farmer if it is not covered by a very good, very well formulated contract farming system. And in the long supply chain, if anybody makes a loss, that's the farmer. So how we can reach a price consensus? What can be the modalities for that? What may be your suggestion regarding that?
See,
And
we had, please continue if you have some more.
No, I have just another question, but let us.
Okay,
cover
I
this.
think we'll just maybe include this first. The thing is, when we are talking about the competitive price, it's all relative terms, okay? Because it all depends, today, if I want to sell something to, or maybe export something to different destination, it all depends on the consumer, the end user. If the end user says, I can give you 7,000 rupees a kg for this particular extract, so we also back calculate, okay? So it all depends. I'm talking about the forward and backward linkages. So basically how the price is decided. One, as you said, input cost. That is the best option. So for example, farmer has already invested this much and he wants, obviously he would want really maybe 20, 30%, 40%, depends on, the crop basically, this kind of maybe profit in that. Okay, so the profit must be there. It cannot be just at the loss, he's cultivating and he's just throwing it away. So the input cost is very, very important. Once we do that, then we have to realize how others are selling at a lower price. See, if I am getting, say, 90 rupees per kg turmeric from Indonesia, why I'm getting? So what is the, modus operandi and what are the cultivation techniques and how they are minimizing the loss, how they are, using, what kind of resources they are using, what kinds of equipment or mechanization they are doing. So those things we have to study. And another thing is, for example, turmeric is a simple example for us also. If you want to buy it from Manipur or Meghalaya, it is like, very, very sky high price. Why? Because they are using hand digging tools, small tools, and they're just digging actually the farms. They're not plowing even, because the terrain is maybe, it's a tough terrain, is like, mountain kind of thing. So the input cost is very high there. All the family is actually involved in that. Same, turmeric, if it's cultivated in, say, Indonesia or Vietnam, they have a flat land. In South India, it is a flat land. It's all mechanization. So they are using hardly any like human resources there. So input cost really goes down. So how to improve on that? How to reduce input cost? That we have to, I think, figure it out. That is another part of innovation. So basically, farmers should never be at the loss. And in the beginning itself, especially in our case, like we are here for almost 30 years now in contract farming, but we have established a complete system. We have coordinators in the field and they know what will be the input cost. All the farmers, whoever are associated with us for so many, decades now. So they are all like, they know. And if there is some issue, we will give them little higher price also. So basically, we have to really work, with the farmers. We have to, how to reduce this input cost. That should be our objective also.
Absolutely. And since the area served by us is dominated by small and marginal farmers, and there is very little scope of mechanization and corporate farming like thing, so the production cost will always be a little bit higher. And if we need to achieve sustainability in this field, we need to provide them a sustainable income as well. Now what happens in a cluster, a group of farmers farms certain medicinal plants for 1 year, and they feel that it is not that much sustainable, then we need to shift our production base to other area. It's almost just like a Zoom cultivation.
No, I think Dr. Shantanuji, I'll tell you one thing here. That is most important for us. What is most important here is selection of the crop. How to select the best crop for that particular area. If you really give them some crop which is very common, like ashwagandha, I give you one example. Everybody, because government also said now this is a time of ashwagandha, everybody is talking ashwagandha all the world. So everybody, everywhere they said, no, you must run one project on ashwagandha. But basically you are killing the farmers there, no? So you have to identify the best crop, the best suited crop, and the potential crop.
Exactly.
Where you can really give them a good price, good return also.
Exactly. Crop selection is very important.
Yes.
And my last question, we have discussed about organic cultivation, and it's also from the farmer's perspective. If we do not use any pesticide there and the crop is raised not organically with inorganic fertilizers, what repercussion it will have on the ultimate product quality, its bioefficacy, things like that, because you already explained it very excellently that organic cultivation doesn't always ensure the high content. Sometimes it may be the other way around.
Correct.
But in that case, what specific value organic cultivation brings in the final formulation?
See, the thing is, when we are talking about the organic or free of pesticide or maybe non-GMO kind of thing, everybody is conscious today. You know, people think even if it doesn't have that kind of content, also I will eat it. At least it will be safe for me. It will not really make harm to me. That is also another area. But that is basically for Ayush industries, because if we are using organic products there, we are not much bothered about the content. And here, because we are talking about the isolated enriched compounds, so that is always a concern, because end of the day, the input cost or the maybe cost of production for us will go really very high. And whether the end user sitting in different parts of the world, whether they really accept it, generally they can always go for say 20-30% high. Okay, but it depends actually on the product to product. It's not like common for every product. It depends which products you are selecting, what you are giving actually out. So some products, they can really go well and do well with the organic things also, but some they have some issues. So it depends actually product to product, and we have to really analyze each and every aspect.
Yeah, right. We can very well understand about the issue of pesticide content, pesticide contamination, as well as GMO issues. But if we consider just the nutritional management, so it's a little bit a gray area about how to understand what is the actual effect on the active ingredient in that specific medicine.
No, I'm telling you, more stress you give to the species, to the plant, more secondary metabolites will really, come up, because this is a defense mechanism for the species. Okay. So basically, it depends actually, which are the species we are talking about and what are the conditions that we are giving. So we cannot have always controlled conditions or controlled stress conditions. And we cannot really put that it's not practical in the farm itself when it goes for large scale cultivation. The farmer should be well equipped, or they should be trained for that things.
Yeah.
So that is another area, because training part will be then important for for the cultivators.
Yeah, right. Regarding that stress, I can share my experience over here. We have been doing stevia cultivation for quite a long time, and for stevia, giving a moisture shock at least 1 week before the harvesting is a very common practice, and that actually improves the steviol glycoside content in the leaves. Because again, it's steviol glycoside accumulation is a stress response. So that is pretty common.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you
Dr.
very much.
Saklani.
Yeah. Thank you for
Dr.
this
Saklani,
question.
it was very enlightening. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Saklani, I do have one or two questions, if you kindly allow me.
Yeah, I think then we'll wind up. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. First of all, there are, as you have mentioned, about the very importance of the quality of the material that you would like to procure from any harvest, So what is very important here, I'd like to know that the standard, the lab, which you recognize, rather I'm telling you one way, that suppose since here the land holding is very less in our country, particularly in West Bengal has certain problem, parts of Eastern region, this is the problem, And since we are also trying to really strengthen the marginal farmers, so it is one way, you see, we may make a cooperative, we may make a cluster, so that, this can be shared with governmental, inputs also could be shared with this cluster, and government prefers also that. But the thing is that what is really important here is that the standard lab testing, if we can make, which is acceptable to the industry, they cannot go for a testing which itself costs around 15,000-20,000, because what the money they will get. So ultimately, if through a cluster with, let us say, 15 farmers, if something can be made, they can do it jointly. If we can make such things even, then what sort of standard labs do you prefer?
I think Professor Majumdar, last time, if you remember, we also discussed about this QC labs, maybe, in regional QC labs. That's very, very important for all of us. I'd been part of brainstorming sessions on natural products, brainstorming sessions of aromatic, mission and all that. So we have stressed on that, and we said that there must be QC lab, wherein farmers can be given some subsidized rates. They can send their produce there and they can get it evaluated, and it should be as per the industry norms. That is the best option. That is
For which
the
we
only
have
option
to-
actually. Otherwise, what happens? I'm telling you.
Which we need the governmental endeavor.
Yes, 100%. Because without that, we cannot really go ahead. See, what happens, generally, whatever we get here, all the samples, they would select the best one actually from their lot. Okay. And without knowing anything, they would think that, no, this is going to industry, so we should send the best sample for that. So they would send it to us and we'll analyze and we'll find that, okay, now this is the best one. Okay, this is a good one. But when the actual lot comes, when the actual truckload comes to us, it's a totally different, because they think that I'll give the best sample. Then that is the reason I tell all the cultivators, all the vendors, you give me the worst sample from your lot, so that
Right.
your truck is not rejected. That is the worst part actually, when a truck is rejected from the factory, because end of the day, from farm to factory gate, how the stuff is delivered, how the raw material is delivered with the same quality, same trait, that is the key. Without that, it's all like a futile exercise. Otherwise, what happens? Everybody has this kind of notion, the industry, they are not good people, they are bad people. Actually, we sent the sample, they said it is passed, now they are saying this is failed. But they do not understand basically. Okay, while sending the sample. So it's a good idea to have a regional quality check lab, QA, QC lab, so that they have a comfort level there, and industry has approved it, or maybe the government has approved it. So there should be of a standard. It should be what we call audited lab. It should not be just like a lab.
That's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
So just last questions to you, I think.
Yeah,
from
please.
my side, that's the question is that if we make some post-harvested management or some value addition, as you are telling farm to get, in the farm itself, the farmers can take this effort. Are the industries ready to share the premium price for that sort of thing, Obviously, that should satisfy the quality criteria.
It is 100%, because if I'm buying something, I'm telling you, for example, andrograph is leaf. If I want leaf, okay, I'm giving say 120 rupees or 130 rupees a kg for that. But if tomorrow, if I'm getting something which is 100% like leaf, not adulterated, so I'll give the premium price. So all the industry, everybody is there, but if it's a graded one, completely sorted one, especially iris industries, they face a lot of problem there. So if it is graded and you say that, okay, this is my grade 1, this is grade 2.
So
If it is graded,
expect
100%.
proportionate premium share from the industry for that sort of.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to interact
If
with
there
you.
is any other questions, we should not bother him. I am at the end. I would like to not only thank you, at the same time, I rather would like to share my gratitude to you, because
Thank you very much. Thank you everybody actually, for inviting me. And
sir, on behalf of NMPB, Dr. Chinmay Rath has
yeah, I have asked him if he has any question, but till now I didn't hear anything. Dr. Chinmay Rath, if you are there, last question might be from you also. Dr. Chinmay Rath, please.
Last year.
I hope he might not be at this moment.
it's okay. I think we can talk later also. That's not a problem.
Okay.
We can always
So
continue.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you.
Obviously, whatever we'll do, we'll share with you. And thank you
Sure.
very much that in the month of March, for being from an industry, such a stalwart, is made himself available for this.
No, thank you very much. Actually, our Dr. Sudipto, he told me that I'll be presenting on 7th today morning. He said, can you talk today? I said, okay, I just wrote down few points. I thought, let me share today itself.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
For viewpoints.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you. All of you for being with us. and listening with such a, very important deliberations from an industry expert. And thank you all. We will be meeting again on 6th, and again on 6th of March at 4 with another expert from the industry. So that would be our next meeting point. I request you all to be present on that day also, and please contribute your point of concern, which we should take into our considerations in the final preparation of the white paper. Thank you all. Shantanu Babu, thank you once more for beautiful and very relevant and important questions for this session. Thank you, which obviously have enriched us. Thank you. Anything you'd like to share with us?
Thank you for giving me an opportunity for interacting with the industry and sector stalwarts. Definitely, let us make this project a success and come up with some really good points for our white paper.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So we will be meeting again on 6th virtually at 4. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.